What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kenzo for Life here, and today we're going to be talking about Xbox Game Pass 2025, the full game calendar, and must-play arrivals. If you thought Xbox Game Pass was already a big deal, you're going to want to sit down for this, because 2025 is shaping up to be its biggest year yet. We're talking a non-stop parade of day one blockbusters from Xbox's own studios, stunning indie surprises, and some important changes to the service itself. It's almost too much to keep track of, and figuring out what to play and when can honestly feel like a full-time job. But don't worry, that's what we're here for. We've done the homework for you, digging through every official announcement, every confirmed release window, and every solid piece of intel to build the most comprehensive calendar for Xbox Game Pass in 2025. This is your roadmap for the year. We're going to break down the entire year so you can plan your gaming life and make sure you don't miss out on a single thing. So yeah, you might want to grab a notepad because your backlog is about to explode. Right out of the gate, the first quarter of 2025 is already stacked with some of the most anticipated titles from Xbox's own heavy hitters. First up, we have a monumental RPG from a studio that, let's be honest, just doesn't miss. Obsidian Entertainment's Avowed, confirmed for a 2025 release. This is a first-person fantasy epic set in Aura, the same world as their Pillars of Eternity games. Imagine Obsidian's world-class storytelling and role-playing choices, but with the visceral up-close combat of something like the Elder Scrolls. RPG fans have had Avowed at the top of their wish list for years, and it lands day one on PC Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate when it launches. Then in March, we got a completely different kind of chaos. On March 18th, 33 Immortals from Thunder Lotus Games entered early access as a day one Game Pass title. This is a co-op action roguelike for, you guessed it, 33 players. Think the frantic top-down action of a game like Hades, but reimagined as a massive pick-up-and-raid experience where you and 32 other souls try to rebel against God's final judgment. It's ambitious, it's wild, and it looks like an absolute blast. The game officially launches into early access on that date and has been available on Game Pass from the start. And while we're here, we have to do a little housekeeping. You probably noticed that Microsoft increased the price of Game Pass subscriptions back in the summer of 2024 and again in mid-2025. That makes planning what you play even more important. To make sure you're squeezing every drop of value out of your subscription, which is exactly what this guide is for. As we head into spring, the hits just keep on coming. April delivered a huge, stylistically distinct adventure. On April 8th, South of Midnight arrived day one on Game Pass. Developed by Compulsion Games, the studio behind We Happy Few, this is a gorgeous third-person action adventure steeped in the folklore of the American Deep South. You play as Hazel, a magical weaver fighting and exploring a world inspired by Southern Gothic tales. The stop-motion inspired animation is just stunning, and the game delivers a tight narrative-focused adventure. It's easily one of Xbox's most unique first-party games. Then, On April 24th, the service got Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game that stunned everyone when it was revealed, launching straight into Game Pass. It's a turn-based RPG with slick real-time mechanics, set in a beautiful but grim fantasy world inspired by Belle, Époque, and France. Each year, a mysterious being called the Paintress erases everyone of a certain age, and you lead the 33rd expedition to finally stop her. Developed by Sandfall Interactive, the game has been praised for its reactive combat and incredible art, feeling like a fresh top-tier take on the JRPG formula. It looks phenomenal. It could be a dark horse in the Game of the Year conversation. The middle of the year showed absolutely no signs of slowing down. May brought back a legend. On May 15th, it was time to rip and tear all over again. This time through medieval battlefields in Doom, the Dark Ages. Launching day one on Game Pass, this prequel puts you back in the Doom Slayer's boots, but in a much earlier, darker setting. We're talking a shield that's also a chainsaw, a skull-crushing flail, and yes, a rideable, jet-powered war dragon. ID Software is blending the lightning-fast shooter action the series is famous for with a dark fantasy world and even giant mech combat. This was, without a doubt, one of the biggest launches of the year. Then in July, another massive day one title hit the service. On July 24th, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers arrived on Game Pass. This is a Souls-like action RPG set in the chaotic final years of China's Ming Dynasty. You play as a pirate warrior with amnesia, battling through a land torn apart by plague and supernatural monsters. Developed by Lenzi Games, it's got fast-paced combat with a variety of historical Chinese weapons and promises a fresh spin on the Souls-like formula. For anyone who loves a good challenge in a rich atmospheric world, Wu-Chang is a must-play. Alright, we're only halfway through the year, and the quality of these day one launches is just staggering. From Avowed to Doom, 2025 is a landmark year for Game Pass. If you're finding this calendar helpful for planning your gaming life, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. We put out Xbox content daily, and we'll be deep diving into every single one of these games as they launch. Thanks for the support. Now, let's get back to the calendar. As we head into the back half of the year, August brought a fantastic mix of anticipated sequels and established hits to the service. Leading the charge on August 6th was Citizen Sleeper 2, Star Wars Vector, the sequel to one of the most beloved narrative RPGs in recent memory. You play as an escaped android, managing your flailing body with dice rolls while trying to survive in a rich, heartfelt sci-fi world. The first game was a storytelling masterpiece, and the sequel is proving to be another critical darling, available to a huge audience on Game Pass. Also in August, we saw some great third-party additions. Assassin's Creed Mirage is expected to join Game Pass, which is a fantastic back-to-basics entry in the series, focusing on stealth and parkour in 9th century Baghdad. If you've been missing that classic AC feeling, this is the perfect chance to jump in. Around the same time, the co-op shooter Aliens Fireteam Elite is also slated to return to the service, letting you and your friends blast away at hordes of xenomorphs once again. Looking toward the fall, the biggest confirmed release is another potential masterpiece from Obsidian. The Outer Worlds 2 is confirmed to be launching on Game Pass in 2025. The sequel to their hilarious anti-capitalist space RPG takes us to the brand new Arcadia star system. Expect more of Obsidian's signature sharp writing, branching stories, and player combat, but with a bigger scope and better combat. The original was a breath of fresh air, and this sequel is poised to be one of the best RPGs of the year. Now, beyond the games with firm release dates, there are several titles confirmed for 2025 that are still floating in the calendar. These are the heavy hitters from Xbox Game Studios that we know are coming. We just don't have a final date just yet. The list includes Mixtape from the celebrated publisher Annapurna Interactive. It's a game about a group of teens on their last night of high school, set to an incredible soundtrack featuring Devo, Roxy Music, and more. It just looks so stylish and full of heart. We also have Replaced, the 2.5D retro futuristic action platformer that has been turning heads for years with its absolutely breathtaking pixel art and cyberpunk world. And for cozy game fans, there's Winter Burrow, a game where you play as a tiny mouse, building a comfy home and exploring a charming snowy world. Of course, we have to talk about the games looming just over the horizon. While many of us were hoping to play it this year, the highly anticipated Fable reboot has been confirmed for a release after 2025, with many speculating a 2026 launch. This seems like a smart move to give the team at Playground Games the time they need to make the return to Albion truly magical. So there you have it, the complete Xbox Game Pass calendar for 2025 as it stands right now. It is an unbelievable year, anchored by 4 absolute pillars from Xbox's best studios. Your absolute must-play, can't-miss titles for the year are Avowed, a massive AAA fantasy RPG from the masters of Obsidian; South of Midnight, a beautiful and unique Southern Gothic adventure from Compulsion Games; Doom, The Dark Ages, a brutal, metal, and epic prequel to one of the greatest shooter series ever made; The Outer Worlds 2, a hilarious and whip-smart sci-fi RPG sequel. These 4 games alone make a Game Pass subscription an unbelievable value in 2025. And that's before you even count awesome day one games like Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, and Wu-Chang, Fallen Feathers. Plus the dozens of other games that will inevitably drop onto the service all year long. 2025 is the year of incredible quality and variety for Game Pass. Now I have to turn it over to you. Looking at this whole calendar, what is the one game you are most hyped to play? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more daily Xbox news, reviews, and deep dives. We'll see you in the next one. And until next time, stay frosty.